Hi, I'm Alexis Salazar. The class I'm taking is Com 101, and these are my note cards. And this is the audience. Okay. Could you imagine you're in a time where you get denied the opportunity to vote, get an education, or even hold a job? All this just because you're of color? This is outrageous. Now that we live in a different time, it all seems normal that we get the chance to get an education, vote, and keep jobs, which is very important, but that wasn't always the case. The Jim Crow laws hugely impacted society in early 1865 due to all the segregation, such as schools, restaurants, and even parks. The Jim Crow laws demanded segregation, which affected many children at school. In the history article published on November 28, 2018, by History.com editors called Segregation in the United States says that many schools applied segregation, which caused the African American student to be denied when trying to get an education. African Americans were not allowed to go to the same school as a white person. Segregation was a push-pull factor that led many African Americans move from the South to the North. Many African Americans moved to Harlem, New York. In addition to segregation in school, they applied segregation for bathrooms as well. An African American could not enter the same bathroom as a white person. Kids had to grow up knowing they would be judged just because they were of color. As a matter of fact, African Americans were not given the right to vote due to the Jim Crow laws. Whites had an opportunity to vote unlike African Americans. They just wanted to have rights and freedom. If any black person tried to defy the Jim Crow laws, they would face arrest, fines, jail sentences, violence, and possibly death. Many African Americans who tried to vote would get sentenced, but the legal system was stacked against black citizens, with former Confederate soldiers working as police and judges, which made it difficult for African Americans to win the court cases. When an African American would defy the Jim Crow laws, they would get sentenced, and due to their long term, a lot of African Americans did not last their full term. The article from History is called Jim Crow Laws, written by History.com editors, published on February 28, 2018, says, eventually the ratification of the 13th Amendment abolished slavery. This gave African Americans a hope in equality because it was one step closer at the time. Due to the African Americans trying to be equal and defy the Jim Crow laws, caused black codes. The black codes were strict local and state laws that specified when, where, and how enslaved people could work and for how much money. Lastly, African Americans could never keep one job due to the Jim Crow laws. The effects of the Jim Crow laws were also noticed when African Americans could not keep or even get a job. Since African Americans were not allowed to vote, white people controlled them and seized the children for labor purposes. Although many places needed help, they were only reserved for white people. In the articles, African Americans face systematic obstacles to getting good jobs, written by Christian E. Walker on December 5th, 2019, says African Americans continue to face higher unemployment rates, fewer job opportunities, lower pay, poor benefits, and greater job instability. In order to keep the middle and upper class in control, they made it more difficult for the African Americans to keep or even get jobs. The whites did that so the African Americans could not create unions. Due to African Americans not being able to keep or get a stable job, they could never pay their debts. Given these points, the Jim Crow laws made it difficult for African Americans. As I mentioned, segregation was unfair to people of color, which made it harder to get an education, vote, or even find a job. Even though we may not live in a time like it used to be, we still have many challenges today.